I was able to get some prototyping programs, something called the Aerospace Innovation Initiative, about $1 billion there roughly into the budget. We also got under that same umbrella new engine technology for the next generation of high-performance engines. We put a few other things in that we're able to afford with that roughly $5 billion a year that we added to our request. All right, so one thing we can do is we can pay them to do prototyping programs. And I mentioned the Aerospace Innovation Initiative is a program which will lead to X-plane-like prototypes in the next several years. That'll be the basis for what will be sixth-generation air dominance capability. That's one thing we're doing in the budget. And right now I can't afford a sixth-generation aircraft in the budget, but I can get ready for it. I can reduce the lead time. I can keep the technology moving forward. I can preserve the design teams that we're going to have when we're ready to do that. And I'll do that for relatively low cost compared to a full-up program. So that's the idea. And we'll be doing, one of the things I'll be instituting is reviewing of prototyping programs around the department going forward. We're also, and I should have mentioned this earlier, doing a long-range R&D planning activity. The department's chief system engineer, Steve Welby, is leading that. It's part of a broader umbrella of work that Secretary of Work has commissioned. Secretary Hagel actually announced this, but it's really Secretary of Work's initiative called the Defense Innovation Initiative. And the long-range R&D planning effort is part of that. I should have mentioned that earlier. Another thing we're trying to do is, and I can't hit all of this, but I'll hit a few high points. Best value. We have a long tradition in the department of putting out requirements that have objective levels and threshold levels. And then basically what we do is we ignore the objective levels and we buy the threshold levels. Industry knows that very well, and so when industry bids, they tend to bid at the threshold levels because the threshold levels are always cheaper, and bidding cheaper is the way you generally tend to win contracts. We need to give industry a reason to give us better performance. We need to incentivize industry to push the boundaries, to go for more, and to give us that better level of performance. We need it because we're in a competition. So the way you do that is you inform industry of how much you're willing to pay for better performance, and you give credit and source selection for those higher levels of performance. It's pretty basic, okay? Now, we do this as a practical matter to a certain degree anyway, when we do a best value source selection. But rather than making it a black box that nobody knows what's going on in, that's done by a source selection authority, it's better to tell industry up front how much we're willing to pay. I often tell the story of experience I had when I was in industry where we had what we thought was absolutely a superior design for a missile. Much better engagement envelope, much better probably a kill in individual engagements. And it was above the threshold level. And we couldn't get the service at the time, which was not the Navy. Maybe it was the Navy. It was a joint program. In any event, I tried very hard to convince the department to find a way to give us some credit in the source selection for the higher performance we were offering. I didn't succeed, so we lost on a cost basis. I'm convinced to this day that we had a better product. And now I don't know if we would have been more expensive on just the nature of the design. But I, to this day, don't know if that was a good decision or a bad decision by the department. The department never gave itself the chance to think about that and figure that out, which is unfortunate. We don't want to be in that situation. So we need to tell industry, to have well-informed people in industry who know whether it makes sense from a business perspective for them to offer us higher performance or not. We started down this road with the tanker program. We've done it in a few other programs. I don't know if I have any Navy examples right off the top of my head where we've done it in Navy, because I don't have that many new starts in the Navy right now. But we're going to be doing this in general. Unproductive processes and